What is good governance in football? What are those characteristics of good governance? How we find out that a particular organization in football is well governed, having good governance practices? What are those basics? How a layman can understand how one organization which is into football is having good governance practice. Normally, the fans, the stakeholders sometime might only are witnessing the matches, the performances, the failures, the titles, match winning performances. We also experience failures, not one failures but repeated failures. Many say this is because the governance is poor, the governance is weak, and we don't have the trust in the organization which governs the game. But it is important to understand what good governance in football means. What are the characteristics of good governance? Just to put in simple words, a football organization should have a structure, should have a system, should have regulations, should have statutes. That's the constitution by which it is governing the sport. It should be transparent in communicating, and there should be a well-led process of decision making. There should be clear demarcation of responsibilities, duties among the executives, the professionals, the administration, and all the committees, and also how the judicial bodies, how its audit and compliance and financial management are also dealt, involving independent experts, whereby there is no conflict. Overall, when we talk about good governance, means that an organization will have a well-laid policy, well-laid regulation to deal with every aspect of football. There won't be any confusion among the stakeholders. There will be more and more stakeholder participation. There will be stakeholder engagement. There will be more dialogues, and every stakeholder in the organization will know their responsibilities and duties very clearly. And those who get elected in the board or the executive committee will also go through the process of election, which is also well laid. There should not be any confusion and how an election process should be done, managed, administered to elect the board or elect the executive committee members. And those members who get elected, are they having the integrity, ethics, and all those background checks are done with them. So therefore, the people who are in the decision making positions are functioning, are working without any bias and having integrity towards the game, towards the organization, and they are not involved in any corruption. And that is where the checks and balances the organization will have to operate and manage the football activities across all levels. Also, there will be clear distinction between the powers, roles, responsibilities between the general body. The general body is the composition of the member associations. Those are part of the organization who elects the board or who elects the executive committee, and how the membership is inclusive or not. Whether there is a clear laid down policies, clear laid down regulations, who can participate in the general body, what can be the business part of general body, how each activity in the general body takes place, and likewise how the board should function, how the executive committee should function, how the standing committee should function, how a subcommittee should function, and how the judicial body should function, and how an external auditor should be appointed. What are the compliance process being put in place to see that all the regulations, all the guidelines, the statutes, the decisions of the board and the general body, that's Congress, are fully implemented without any diversion, and there is clear transparency in financial management and every aspect of its decision making. So there is complete fairness in the system, there is complete transparency in the system, and there is regular communication in the system. If there are complaints, there is a process to go through, and the decisions are coming within the specific time frame. And whether there is a president or a chairman doesn't have that kind of power, which is kind of imbalances the organization. Therefore, the whole power distribution and the decision making powers in the whole organization structure is well defined. So therefore, a good governed football organization will not have any confusion, will have its regulations, procedures, statutes, everything well defined. And also it's very important that with time it updates its statutes, regulations as it goes for revision to meet the statutory provisions. Might be bought by the regulators, sports regulators, there can be the government codes and the government regulations, or the law of the land. So therefore, regular revision of the statutes, regular revision of the guidelines, regulations are very important. To deal with every aspect of football, there is a clear-cut policy and it is transparent, and every stakeholder in the footballing landscape is aware of their duties and responsibilities, and they know how a decision making process takes place. And that is where one say that good governance is there in this football organization, and it is a good governed football entity. And that is what I would like to say. Characteristics are very clear, that everything above board, every decision, every partnership, collaboration, involvement of the external partners, sponsors, everything is well defined and it is transparent. And that way the game grows, that way the organization gains trust, belief, and there are greater participation of the stakeholder, and there is greater belief in the vision and the goals, and everyone works together to reach to that goal. And when there are no conflict of interest, when there are clear policies, clear regulations, then that organization will succeed. And that is what, in simple terms, good governance in football means. So let's promote good governance in football all across organizations to have best practices in the governance of our beautiful game. And that way we will be able to grow and continue to be a leading sport in the world. People with greater integrity should be part of the game, and that's what we have to do at every structure. And if that happens, we will grow and we will have more opportunity to celebrate football, and that's the beauty of football. What we see on the pitch, it is the end product of all the actions in the decision making board, and they see the bigger picture of the game, and that's how they take decision to grow the game. Let's grow the game, and that's where we celebrate our beautiful